In this demonstration, you're going to learn how to create boxes from flat pieces of paper. We'll be folding them, and then eventually you'll be decorating those with Sharpie and watercolor pencils. So let's get started with this. The materials you're going to need will be some large pieces of paper, and you'll need a color code pattern. This one happens to be for one of the medium-sized boxes. It's the yellow color code. I have the set of directions that will serve as a reminder for how to do this. You need a pencil. I'll be using a pen so you can see my lines, a scissor, and rulers. Okay, so here's how you're going to get started. First of all, when you lay your pattern down, a time saver is to use the pattern along the edge of the paper. That way you only have to trace two sides instead of all the way around the pattern. And then if you'll share that line that you just created with the second pattern and lay the other edge along the edge of the paper, again, you just have to cut and draw two lines instead of all the way around. Plus, added advantage, you're saving paper and you can use this extra area to do another one of the boxes. So once you have this traced, you go ahead and you cut those patterns out, and you will end up with two squares that look like this. Okay. Once you have those two squares, we're going to go ahead and get started. First thing you'll do, we've dropped down to step 3 already. You're going to draw an X on each square. So once you've cut this out, you're going to do the same thing to both squares. One will be the top and one will be the bottom. You're going to need to line up your ruler so that it goes from corner to corner. And you need to be very precise with this. You can't have it kind of go to the corner. You actually need to have it go to the corner. So you need to be careful when you are outlining or tracing your ruler, and make sure your ruler is lined up before you draw your line. You're going to create large X's on each of your squares. Now, as I said, you're going to do both squares the same way. Okay, so you'll follow the same instructions for both. So I have two X's drawn. All right. The step 4 says that you're going to set one of the squares aside. You'll make both squares the same way, but just do one at a time. Step 5, you're going to fold each of the 4 corners into the center. So this is what this looks like. You're going to fold the corner in, and it has to go right to the middle. And you're going to do that. Once you have it right, and you know it's folded correctly, use those scissor handles and really crease that, because you want a nice sharp crease. It'll just make folding the rest of the box so much easier. Crease it. Smooth out your crease. You're going to do this all the way around. All 4 sides. Now there might be a little overlap, there might be a little gap, but it should be really close. Then your square looks like this. Again, you'll do this square the same way, but to save time, I'm just going to demonstrate with the one square. Okay, once you have your 4 corners to the center, you're ready for step 6, and it says fold each side into the center, then unfold, leaving a crease. This is what this looks like. You're going to take the edge of your square, and it folds straight across, and it has to go to the center, not past the center and not short of the center. It has to go to the center. Really, really important. Then this is where you really want to press that crease down. Okay, you do that side, the next side, and you're going to end up doing all 4 sides all the way around. Sometimes students, they'll only do the 2 opposite sides folded in, and your box you have a really hard time with the next step if you don't get this all 4 sides folded in. Plus, again, it's easier if you unfold after you've creased it, instead of trying to fold all of them in at the same time. Okay, so now we have same square, but now we have these crease lines on it, and those are going to be really important. Okay, number 7, step 7 says that you're going to cut on the indicated creases, and I've drawn arrows on my design or my instructions that show you exactly where those need to be drawn. Basically, you just pick a side of your square. You draw the line from the edge on the crease, right on the crease, from the edge to the edge of this little triangle piece, okay? Don't go past it, just to the edge of the triangle piece. Then you go directly across from those two lines and you draw on the crease the other two. You will only draw 4 lines. If you draw all 8, it'll completely mess it up. You have to start over. So only do 2 and then the 2 across. Once you have those lines drawn and you can see where you're going to cut, then you're going to take your scissors, cut just on the lines you've drawn, then go across, cut only on the lines you've drawn. And if for some reason it doesn't cut all the way through, like here, this is still attached where this one's been cut through, you can always go ahead and just kind of pull that apart there. Okay, here's the folding part. Now you're at number 8. 8 says you're going to unfold the 2 ends like this. The 2 cuts that you've made, in between those 2 cuts, that's the part you fold outward. Okay, so here's your 2 cuts. In between those 2 cuts, that's the part you fold outward. Once you have that folded outward, now it's time to fold the sides up and the ends in, like gates. I always say these are like walls and these are closure gates. You can see that you've got the 4 sides folded in and you can create your square that way. Then I call these big giant arrows. You're going to take your giant arrow and you're going to lay it up flat against your gate, and then you fold it over, down, and tuck it in. Fold it up, lay it up against it, over, down, and tuck it in. And that creates your box. And once you've created this, just like this, you make both sides the same way, then your 2 pieces that look like this will fit together. That's why one of the patterns was slightly larger than the other. That's how you're going to create your box. Now when it's time to decorate the box, instead of trying to draw on it while the box is formed, the easiest thing to do is to simply unfold it so that it lays flat again. Decorate however you plan to decorate your box. And then once that's decorated, then you fold it back, fold out your arrows, fold in your walls and your gates, and then you just simply reconnect everything, refold it, and you have your box. And that's how you create a box.